Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sometimes I come there and I see the regional show. It's been removed, I'm sure.
Yes,
or subsequently.
Been.
But good to see you once again. And happy
Pleasure.
to get you right here in the studio. It's not very often we get to have you, because you're always sojourning, going from one destination or the other. But basically, what would you say the ministry has been so far since you came in? I know that you've addressed a number of media interactions over the period.
Yeah, so let me begin by extending warm regards to all the distinguished viewers of TV3. Always great to be here. And in the spirit of the season, let me extend season's greetings to all Ghanaians. We pray that 2026 will be even more fruitful, positive, and our country will grow stronger, and our diplomatic relations will also be healthier. At the Foreign Ministry, we have strived to improve our diplomatic relations with all countries. As the Osagefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah outlined our foreign policy in 1958, we seek to be friends of all and enemies to none. So by close of this year, you can tell that we have improved relations with every country. Our multilateral engagements have also become stronger, and you can tell from the numerous visa waiver agreements that we have signed. There is growing trust and confidence in Ghana that we are a reliable partner in the Committee of Nations. You see the trade deals that we have negotiated with some of the very, very difficult leaders of this world, that many analysts say that it's not easy to really even get them to sit with you at the table. We have been able to strike very, very good deals in the interest of the people of this country. And then we have also been able to protect our dignity, preserve our respect. I mean, we've made it clear that Ghanaians will not accept or tolerate or countenance any form of discrimination. And I think that within every corner of the world today, every country knows that if you harm a Ghanaian, the Ghanaian government will come after you. We will stand up to protect the rights of all Ghanaians. And let me disclose in that spirit that last night a video was brought to my attention about a young student by name Naneje in Latvia. I want to disclose that we have commenced immediate investigations through diplomatic channels, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will be updating the public regularly on what our diplomats are doing about that matter that is alleged to have happened in Latvia. We want to send a very clear message that anybody who harms a Ghanaian in any part of this world will not get away with it. And that is the message that the Mahama administration wants to send very, very clearly. So the year in review has been very, very good. I like the fact that if you look at passport administration, we have totally transformed passport administration. I know we'll get into it in my detail. And Ghanaians themselves are testing. We haven't spent anything on PR, no adverts. We just want the reforms to speak for itself. And Ghanaians are testifying about how swift and how incredibly smooth passport application has become. And what is also beautiful about passport administration now is that we have been able to establish passport application centers in all 16 regions.
All 16 regions?
All 16 regions. Unprecedented. It's never happened in the history of our country. Then you look at visa waiver agreements. In this short span of time, we've added 11 countries to the visa waiver, agreement, compendium. And what is also exciting about these visa waiver agreements is that we are talking about, countries that Ghanaians, really like to travel, work in, trade, and do sports. For example, you look at the Morocco deal. Many sports enthusiasts are excited about it because apart from the fact that they are hosting the Africa Cup of Nations,
which will start on the 21st,
starting this weekend. They host a lot of, sporting activities from athletics, to soccer, and then you see the various negotiations we've gotten into. I mean, the United States, for example, imposed visa restrictions on 36 countries, including Ghana. So far, we are the only country that has been able to negotiate out of that visa restrictions. Only a couple of days ago, you noticed that President Trump has imposed even more restrictions, added 15 countries, and tightened the restrictions on the earlier 36. Ghana, once again, has been exempted. This is the third time after we negotiated out that we have been exempted. And for sports enthusiasts, imagine if we had not negotiated out of that visa
waiver or restriction. Especially with the World Cup,
with the World Cup coming.
six months away.
Because the restriction meant that we were entitled to only a single entry, 3 months visa, no matter who you are, you know, from president to everybody. So Ghana is playing in the United States and in Canada. What it means is that you can only go in there with a single entry. You cannot follow the team out of the United States. If you follow the team out of the United States to go watch a match in Canada, that's it. You can't re-enter the United States. You have to come back home, you know, and you know the queue applying, you know, for a U.S. visa these days. Of course, we are talking to them to shorten the queue. So, you know, some of these things, if we had not been proactive and we had not, you know, hurriedly put the interest of our citizens first, we will have been in really big trouble. So I'm really excited. All glory to God for the accomplishments we have chalked this year.
On the subject of the intermediation, or perhaps your inputs by way of the ministry in itself, in Ghana's participation in the World Cup, and to make sure that citizens and supporters who want to go to the World Cup are able to have a seamless transition to acquire visas, one, which you have enumerated on, and subsequently to be able to move to and fro. You particularly would know, for past World Cups, they've also become, let's say, tour events for many people to get to know around. Okay. Now, particularly when we're getting the notoriety of being a hub of having scammers, those who take part in romantic scams, etc. Of course, we have our national security apparatus are very much on that. How are we going to ensure that going forward we continue with the discussions with the United States government that these are genuine Ghanaians, they have the right passports, and that they're coming in to watch football and do nothing else?
So it all starts with building credibility, building trust with your international partners. The United States is on record to have said that they find cooperation with this Mahama administration to be very excellent. Some of these investigations which we have successfully concluded, leading to arrests and extraditions. The United States will tell you that in some instances, they put in these requests many, many years ago, but they didn't get the cooperation that they deserve. So because we are building credibility and we are making it clear that Ghana will not become a hub for cybercrime, for drug trafficking, for money laundering, and all of those heinous crimes, our partners are very confident. If you look at the very latest, this week's visa restriction on a number of countries, they emphasize that for a number of those countries, it's because of their poor criminal record, where they are not cooperating with international partners. They don't want to open up for investigations. They are complicit. They are shielding, protecting either terrorists, cyber criminals, money launderers, corrupt officials. So we have to be given credit that this Mahama administration is making it very, very clear. Look, we are going to support particularly the young people of our country to engage in legitimate business. And that's why I've been signing all these, you know, trade deals, labor mobility agreements. We're bringing investors here. The president has been at the forefront, selling Ghana, making a very strong case that Ghana is open for business. So we want you to engage in legitimate business. We don't want the youth to get us wrong. We are not out to hound you. If we are not saying that you can't, make money and live a good life and whatever you want to do on social media. I know that you've like to, flaunt whatever they have on social media. Just make sure it's genuine. Make sure that you are working hard. I mean, hard work pays, and ethical conduct, pays. And that is what you must always endeavor, to pursue. But if you want to give all of us a bad name and create the impression that Ghana has become some narco state or some cyber criminal headquarters, we will not accept it. Unfortunately, the Mahama administration has invested greatly in modern technology, AI tools, and other mechanisms to track down all of these cyber. Because remember that it is not always the case that these cyber criminals are Ghanaians. There are some who come from other countries thinking that because they have relocated and they are here, they have some form of anonymity, people don't really know who they are, they can use our country as a launch pad for their criminal activities. We will get them, no matter which part of our country they are operating. And I think that that credibility we have built is what is giving us, all these exemptions from restrictions. Many countries have loosened up. And I can assure you that in the talks that I've had with the three governments of Mexico, Canada, and the United States of America, they are very excited about receiving Ghanaians. They have promised that they will create a special dispensation.
Within the period of the World Cup?
Yes, within the period of the World Cup. They've promised that they will create a special dispensation for Ghanaian football fans. And so I'm very confident that all of what we have done, cooperating on these security matters, would really enhance our chances, not only of getting good visas, long-term visas, so that soccer fans can move to and fro, but also so that we can have good numbers, to be able to rally behind our beloved national team.
And before you came into office, you had been a ranking, so you're very much on top of the issues, and so you've been exhibiting that in office. But particularly when there are concerns being raised, that there are other foreign nationals from the West African sub-region who have Ghanaian passports, especially in the Gulf, in the Southeast Asian countries, who are using Ghanaian passports and perpetrate crimes in the name of Ghanaians. And so for those who legitimately have Ghanaian passports and live decent lives, tend to face a certain reaction as a result of those actions. Has it come to your notice? How do you work on that? How are you working on that?
Yeah, it has come to our notice, and it appears to be a very age-old challenge. But fortunately, because of the investments we have made in strengthening the security architecture around passport acquisition, now it is very, very difficult. The last time I held a press conference and exposed how over 370 foreigners who tried in recent weeks to obtain Ghanaian passports, how they were exposed because of the system we have put in place. We quickly rounded them up, and they are being prosecuted as we speak. And we made it clear at that press conference that you will not be allowed to obtain a Ghanaian passport when you are not a Ghanaian, when you don't qualify to have a Ghanaian passport. And when we get you, you will not be spared. You will be prosecuted, and we will go for the full sanctions, not leaving out jail sentences. So it should be made clear that we have tightened the system. We now have a PPP arrangement with the BTS consortium, which infuses a lot of technology. And often on these platforms, I don't want to delve into details for these criminals to want to beat the system. But you see, previously, before I became foreign minister, if you are applying for a passport in Tamale, from the Tamale Passport Application Center, those in Accra or in Takoradi, at the Takoradi Passport Application Center, don't know what is going on in Tamale. So if you are denied, the people in Tamale do a good job and notice that, no, you just crossed into the country probably from a neighboring country. You don't qualify. You can try your luck in Takoradi or in Accra.
And it will be isolated.
And because the system was not integrated. Now we have full integration, real-time integration. And once you are flagged any part of our country, you will not be allowed. You know, if you attempt, you will be arrested. So I think that the systems we've put in place really help. But I would say that we all have to be eternally vigilant. Sometimes it is some of our own citizens who try to, you know, vouch for these foreigners. Oh, it's my cousin, my brother. Oh, he or she is a Ghanaian, you know, and they come up with all kinds of spurious claims. And when we go into it, you know, we find out that they have obtained a Ghana card fraudulently. They do not qualify, you know, for a Ghanaian passport. So let me assure all Ghanaians, including our international partners watching, that the system now has been tightened. We have a zero tolerance policy against any foreigner holding on to our passport. Because you see, some of the visa waiver agreements we have signed recently, one of the conditions is that we must keep the sanctity of our passports. We must make sure that those passports don't get into the wrong hands. Because if they do get into the wrong hands, the countries will pull out. I mean, we are talking about countries, you know, in Europe, in the other parts of Africa, in Asia.
In the Caribbean,
you know, the Caribbeans who care very much about, you know, national security. And they really have entered into these agreements with Ghana because they know they can trust Ghanaians. Ghanaians are law-abiding. Ghanaians, you know, we are not, you know, a failed state. You know, we are very decent people. So if they do not get the sense that we are going the extra mile to protect the sanctity of our passports, they will get out of these agreements. And we don't want that. We rather want to have many more Ghanaians. And I want to add value to our passports. So far, we are doing about 52 countries where you can travel visa-free.
Just walk in.
Yes, I'm hoping that we can double this number, you know,
over time.
Over time.
Okay.
Probably.
And it's good that you mentioned the countries, especially in the Caribbean, that we have the visa waivers, etc. And we already have an existing good relation with those countries in the Caribbean, even the diaspora.
Absolutely.
And I also took notice, just like the whole of the international community, that the president even is advocating reparations, so to speak, because of our past and our dealings through the transatlantic slave, etc. And so having a diasporan summit, which I know has been announced, puts all those matters into bed. How does that connect us directly to our diasporan community, our relationship with those countries that, of course, have participated in these historical events, and then make us relevant, in tune with what the president's own policy is?
I'm glad that you bring us to discuss the Diaspora Summit now. The Diaspora Summit is a flagship event, and we would want to encourage as many of our friends in the diaspora to join us on the 19th and the 20th of December. That is this Friday and Saturday. Already we are receiving tremendous interest. We are probably oversubscribed now. If you look at the applications we've received from Africans in the diaspora who have gone online to apply for the summit. Only yesterday, I welcomed the famous U.S. civil rights activist and personal injury lawyer, Benjamin Crump, who is known for, you know, standing for the likes of George Floyd and all of those
victims.
African Americans who are victims of racial police brutalities. Amanda Aubrey and all of those unfortunate, you know, brothers and sisters of ours who were subjected to inhumane treatment and who died in the process. He stood up for them. He's been nicknamed the Attorney General of Black America. He's here with a strong team. The president of Togo is also arriving tomorrow. We have the Namibian chair of the Reparations Commission, who has also arrived. The Grenada chair of the CARICOM, you know, reparations effort is also arriving today. Then we've also received the team of global experts on reparations. And why reparations is so important is that President Mahama has been made the African Union champion on reparations. So Ghana is leading the African continent on the reparations matter. where reparatory justice has now been made a decade theme for the African Union. It used to be a one-year theme. It's been extended to a decade, from 2025 to 2035. And for reparatory justice, we are simply saying that those who are in denial must accept that the transatlantic slave trade is the worst crime against humanity, and it's genocide. And that's why President Mahama said at the UN General Assembly that next year Ghana will be filing a resolution for that crime, the transatlantic slave trade, to be acknowledged by the United Nations as the worst crime against humanity. Because look, over 12.5 million people, taken out forcibly, a lot of them, had to die in transit, and the inhumane, harrowing, totally, inhuman conditions that they were subjected to. And to think that even when slavery was abolished, the slave masters, were compensated. They were provided with financial resources for losing slaves, but the victims have not been compensated. A lot of the nations that participated in that have not apologized for their crimes, and they also have not paid compensation. They have also not returned the artifacts, a lot of treasures that were stolen, that were looted out of Africa. So Ghana is leading that reparatory effort, and I am glad that this diaspora summit is going to really discuss that, come up with a communique which President Mahama will present to the African Union in February of next year. Remember that he's also preparing to assume the leadership of the African Union in 2027. And I want to thank my colleague ministers. I tabled a motion last week for President Mahama to be made a sole candidate from West Africa. In 2027, the AU chairmanship will be coming to West Africa. And so looking at the pedigree, the gravitas, the experience, the skills, the vision, the extraordinary qualities of President Mahama, we thought that we should present him as a sole candidate when he gets to West Africa's turn. Fortunately, the Ministerial Council unanimously endorsed my motion, and then a day after, the authority of heads of state and governments, that's the presidents, also unanimously endorsed the Ministerial Council's resolution. So all hurdles are out of the way. President Mahama, inshallah, will be the chairperson of the African Union in 2027. So all of these efforts, the Diaspora Summit, inviting all, black people in the diaspora, whether you're in the Caribbean, whether you are in the Americas, whether you live in Africa. This has always been the home, the headquarters of the Pan-African movement. I mean, the fight against slavery started here. The fight against colonialism started here. We were the first country in sub-Saharan Africa to defeat the colonialists. And we have always been a voice of conscience. We have always stood up for the protection of the liberties of all black people. And so it is befitting that Ghana will host this diaspora summit. And we urge everybody to join us, to participate in this summit. On Friday, we'll have the opening ceremony. And then there will be great speeches from experts in the field. And then we'll have plenary discussions after the opening ceremony. On Saturday, we continue with the plenary discussions. Very, very good topics, very good resource persons from all over the world.
Apart from the president, we have a number of them as well. The judicial basis of the right to reparations, and that's going to be by Ambassador Kwesi Kwati as well. Then we have also the Chief of Staff talking about the policy approach to deepening diasporan engagement, and more importantly, Jermaine Nkrumah, chairperson of the Global Diaspora Council, also will talk about the role of diaspora in the national development policy framework, because all these are supposed to bring everything together. Absolutely. And already, as a country and the ministry, you have already been focusing on making sure those who in the diaspora who want to claim citizenship have that right. Absolutely. And it's been ongoing, still continuing as well. And especially for the Caribbean, etc., you tend to do that because there's a lot of investment to tap, is that not it?
Yes, absolutely. And you're right. We've really prioritized partnership with our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean. Because look, let's face it, they are a part of us. It is because of the very atrocious act of slavery that removed them from here. But they are a part of it. They are brothers and sisters. You go to Jamaica, you go to Barbados, Grenada. I mean, recently when the Grenada Prime Minister came here on a state visit, he confirmed that he has taken the steps to carry out a scientific DNA, tracing his genealogy. And it's clear that he is from Ghana, you know, from the Akan group. It's now scientific. They are able to really prove it, to do the tracing.
Through DNA.
Through DNA. So they are our brothers and sisters. And that's why we consider them the 17th region of Ghana. That is our policy overview, that they are the 17th region.
The policy conception is that those in the diasporan community are the 17th region of Ghana.
Of Ghana, yes.
At the current foreign ministry.
Exactly. That is our policy conception. That's our philosophy. And then we are also making sure that we roll out policies. We just got a cabinet approval to roll out a diaspora bond, which will allow them to invest. So it's not just about you come shortly for entertainment and go back, but we want you to invest, to be part of the growth, the development, the reconstruction of our country. And then in addition to that, we have the right of abode law, which allows them to take up full citizenship. Cabinet has just approved a new legislative proposal will be sending to Parliament, where they would even now have the right, you know, to just claim citizenship, and we are going to facilitate the process so easily for them, because really they are our brothers and sisters, and as I said, they are the 17th region. So a lot of policies we are rolling out, and that's why you notice that we've also signed a lot of visa waiver agreements with them.
With many of them in the Caribbean especially.
Yes, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, so that we can really facilitate travel. The other thing we are negotiating now, which has been a long-standing hurdle, you know, to really bring us close, is the fact that if you want to travel to the Caribbean today, from Ghana, from Africa, there is no direct flight.
So the flight path is a problem?
Flight path is a huge problem. Either you go to Europe before you get there, or you go to the United States before you get to the Caribbean. So we are in very good talks. Negotiations are going well. We are in talks with Ethiopian Airlines. And we are quite confident that next year we will have our first direct flight, you know, from Ghana to the Caribbean. So
that will also in tandem with really what ACAO protocols also say, and then IATA as well.
Absolutely.
And just in case you want to register for this Diasporan Summit, which will be taking place from tomorrow, and then also continuing at the Accra International Conference Center on Saturday, you can go to www.Diaspora Summit. So Diaspora Summit Ghana, diasporasummitghana.org. diasporasummit.org, and then get to do the registration. So the various groupings could do that. As for those who are already here, they are citizens, but from the diaspora, whether Northern America itself or the United Kingdom or those in the Caribbean or elsewhere in Africa, you can do that. You're already here. You can also do the communication. Again, just to apprise you, diasporasummitghana.org. And it's good that you brought this up, because the minority just, you're coming a big flock, not only you, but also the president as well, for the donation you did because of the horrid disaster of
Hurricane Melissa.
Yeah, of what happened to the Caribbean, particularly for Jamaica as well. Yeah. It says mixed priorities. What would you want to react to that? But as a foreign minister,
the minority should be embarrassed that they take that position and seek to question Ghana's compassion, Ghana's love, Ghana's kindness in times of crisis. When there is a humanitarian crisis, Ghana should be one of those countries able to assist. And we have always done that. Our foreign policy has been rooted in empathy, in humanity, in compassion. That is why when Guinea, in 1958, declared independence from France, and the French sought to punish them, took everything away from Guinea, the Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah set the tone for us he gave Guinea a bailout of £10 million. And since then, successive presidents, successive governments have followed that example. President Rawlings, when there was a terrible earthquake in Japan, mobilized this country. We send them food, clothes, chocolates. Until this day, the Japanese cherish us for that. That was when Ghana chocolate became so popular. And because of that, it remains one of our major consumers. Japan is one of our major consumers of our chocolates. You come to Professor Mills. Haiti, terrible earthquake. Professor Mills, fresh in office, mobilized $3 million to support Haiti. Haiti has been grateful unto this day. That is another black nation. A lot of them descendants from here. President Akufo-Addo, there was a mudslide in Sierra Leone in his early years in office. Mobilized resources and sent them $1 million. So government after government, empathy, compassion, caring, and positioning ourselves as a country that takes responsibility, as a country that doesn't look the other way. And as I said yesterday, our foreign policy will be defined not by how much we can take from others, but by how much we can share with others.
So when they say we're poor?
You see, who says we are poor? Look, if not for bad leadership, corruption, we are not a poor country. The Almighty has blessed us. What don't we have? From gold to oil to gas to lithium to bauxite, nickel, what don't we have? You know, so look, this is a government which has prioritized local needs. It's not as though the Mahama administration is not caring about the needs of the Ghanaian people. That's our priority, no doubt. And nobody can say that President Mahama has not cared, has not been there. I mean, look at what happened when the conflict broke out in Benyere. Immediately, NADMO was deployed. I went all out to go visit them in those border communities in Côte d'Ivoire, gave them financial resources, provided them with food, water, and all of that, medicines, made sure that they all got back. As we speak, they have all returned to Ghana. We have always been there for our people. We care for Ghanaians. But you see, in our foreign policy, we have always placed the care for others, the compassion for others, at the heart of our foreign policy. Because that is when you also face some difficulty, people will reach out to you. That is also when it comes to respect for countries, dignity for countries, we will take our rightful place in the Committee of Nations. And so to say that it is not right, I mean, it is so un-Ghanaian. And you see, when you are a minority, does it mean that you should criticize everything?
Are you saying they're just criticizing for criticism's sake? Okujeto Ablakwa, is that what you're saying?
Because when you listen to them in Parliament yesterday, and yesterday when you make a statement, you see how they were vacillating, you know, approbating and reprobating, saying in one breath, oh, we are not against assisting our brothers and sisters in Jamaica. You know, in another breath saying that, oh, you are doing institutionalism diplomacy, why are you caring about others? You know, if they had made a case that, look, there are disasters in Ghana, the government is not present, not caring for them. Or there are needs, salaries, conditions of service, you know, and the government is not caring for them. Then you begin to, you know, carry the people along. But this is an administration which has cared so much for the Ghanaian. Legacy debts, arrears we have inherited, whether it's nurses who have been at home, doctors who are not receiving their salary, teachers who are not receiving their salaries. We have taken all of those on board, and we are addressing those issues. Look, if you take our armed forces, you know that until this day, the United Nations celebrates Ghana for the gallantry of our Ghana armed forces. Look, since the first deployment of the Ghana Armed Forces to the Congo in 1960, we have been a top UN troop contributing nation. Rwanda continues to celebrate Ghana because of what our armed forces did. When other countries left during their genocide, that very horrendous episode they don't want to remember, it was Ghanaian troops who stayed and saved lives, created humanitarian corridors for aid and for assistance to come later. That is why Rwanda has presented its highest national awards to Ghanaians, the Ghanaian commanders, led by General Anyidoho. They celebrate him unto this day. He has, when he arrives, when General Anyidoho arrives in Rwanda, he has received the highest national award. Do you know the Rwandans have written to the foreign ministry that they want to come to Ghana and establish a monument?
They have?
Yes. And I put together a committee. We have selected the location. It's going to be at the Bema camp. And they are coming. They say that they don't want us to contribute anything. They are going to use their own Rwandan taxpayer resources
because of our partaking because of participation what we did. In the intervention.
The intervention. They say that if our troops didn't come there on peacekeeping and didn't stay, they don't know if they will be alive today. So the Rwandans in the next few days are going to start the erection of a monument here at Bema camp, and they want it to be an eternal and enduring appreciation.
Well, Mr. Foreign, then are you rubbishing the argument they make that at least if you want to send troops to undertake interventions in Jamaica, for example, or even that small intervention in Benin, you should cut to Parliament? That's the argument they make.
We asked them to show us any provision in the Constitution. They couldn't. They couldn't. We are not deploying troops for combat. They need to get it. These are troops going on a humanitarian mission. So for Jamaica, they are going for reconstruction of the country. Our 48 Engineers Regiment celebrated the world over. They have top engineers there. They are going to help with the reconstruction, moving away rubble, rebuilding houses, reconnecting water, electricity, building amenities, and helping to bring back life. And in terms of livelihoods, bring back livelihoods and restore the nation of Jamaica. Analysts say that Hurricane Melissa destroyed infrastructure worth $8.8 billion United States dollars. Over 40 people died. These are brothers and sisters, And so I am very proud that our foreign policy today is not about holding cap in hand, calabash, hopping from place to place, begging. We are also able to share what we have. So I am proud that we donated to the Palestinians, one of the few African countries to do that. I am proud that we donated to Cuba. I am very proud that we donated to Sudan. Sudan is not getting the international recognition. That war going on there, the millions that are being killed, the international attention that it deserves, it is not getting. I'm very proud that we have a foreign policy that allows us, that even when the world is not looking, has turned away, we are able to reach out. And you should see the letter the Sudanese government has sent, thanking the people of Ghana and saying they will never ever forget Ghanaians. I'm very proud that the Jamaicans, we donated relief items, food, medicines, wash materials. And then this request for troops to help them, it came directly from the Prime Minister, who called President Mahama.
The Prime Minister of Jamaica?
The Prime Minister of Jamaica called President Mahama and said, Mr. President, we really appreciate what you have done for us with your relief items you have brought. But we also would need additional help. We know of your troops, the Ghana Armed Forces, top 5 UN troop contributing nation you are. We plead with you if you can send us your 48 Engineers Regiment to help us with the reconstruction efforts. It is not easy. And then President Mahama said, don't worry, we'll make it happen. So President Mahama calls me, let's start planning this. And it became clear that even though we have the troops, we have the tents, the refrigerators, the generators, and all of that, we will need support with airlifting the troops and all of those items because of the tonnage, you know. So I reached out to the Americans, and gladly they offered to help. And that is how come yesterday you saw that the Americans sent us the famous C-17 jet, you know, which was able to airlift all of those material and the personnel for that operation. So look, let's be proud. This is Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana. This is the empathy. Look, you know that Ghana attracted freedom fighters. President Nkrumah said that our independence is meaningless unless it is linked to the total liberation of Africa. We've never been inward looking. We've never been all about just ourselves. Because look, a lot of these borders are artificial, you know. So we should make sure that our foreign policy is human-centered and is empathetic. That is why even where the foreign ministry is today, you know, it used to be the International Students Hostel, where we brought in international students, freedom fighters, you know, assisted them with support, Ghanaian passports and all of that, and actively helped them to liberate their country. So, you see, when you are a Ghanaian, you should know about our history. You should know about how we are perceived, how we are seen in the Community of Nations. We are the founders of the non-aligned movement. We've always been a pacifist country. We've always cared for the suffering. You know, so if you know our rich traditions when it comes to humanitarian gestures, you will not be questioning this. You will rather be proud. And what is great about what we are doing so far is that we mobilize these resources from donors. So it's not really about, we are not paying for it, the tents, from, you know, so there's this, the over 50,000 clothes came from a Ghanaian company, a free zones company, you know. So we need to be proud of our legacy and what we are doing. You know, this is how you earn respect. This is how you are valued in the Community of Nations. We should never be a country of beggars, a country that is only interested in taking from others. We should be able to help
Ghana,
those who are in need.
Did we make any intervention in the debacle in Benin recently? And shouldn't we have gone to Parliament before we do that? Or it was on the exigencies of the times?
So let's be clear. ECOWAS has put in a request to 4 countries, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Sierra Leone, and Ghana, to intervene in Benin. So far, Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire have sent troops. Ghana is yet to. We have not sent troops yet. Within the ECOWAS protocols, which our parliament has ratified, there will be no need to once again go to parliament. That is why when we're deploying troops to the Gambia, remember that it must have been in 2012 thereabout, when Yaya Jammeh would not hand over after he conceded and then changed his mind. We deployed troops. We didn't seek parliamentary approval. I mean, that has always been the tradition. You know, of course, later on you can brief parliament. And I've been very, very consistent to the house I hold in high esteem. I've been loyal to that house. I always make sure that parliament is apprised. The Foreign Affairs Committee is brought on board. All of these matters during the consideration of our budget estimates. We discussed them. I did full disclosure about these matters. So there's no law of Ghana which has been breached. No constitution, constitutional provision has been violated. And we are well within our traditions, our conventions, our laws, and the empathy, that humanitarian spirit that we've always had, which makes us a respected nation in the Community of Nations. We are doing that, and I'm happy that we have enhanced that image, and we are engaged in these very consequential moves, which is really giving us that respect. I mean, why do you think we are getting all of this? Why do you think that countries who want to decide that we are coming to invest in your country, we want to sign a visa waiver deal with you, we want to exempt you from visa restrictions, we want your president to be AU chairman? The dividends that come from some of these things, money can't buy. You can't quantify them. So let's be proud of ourselves. Let's be proud of our foreign policy, which puts our humanity at the center of our foreign policy.
You had what I would describe a bust-up with the Israelis, because we had sent a delegation, an official delegation. A number of those members of the delegation were returned to Ghana, and then you also reprised. And the criticism out there, especially from the opposition, is that you are becoming a non-conformist foreign minister.
If that is a title they would give me, because I stand up for Ghanaians, because I will not allow Ghanaians to be disrespected, to be humiliated, to be ill-treated, I'm willing to wear that badge with pride. As foreign minister, I will always stand up for Ghanaians, defend Ghanaians, protect our dignity. We are all sovereign countries. And it is well within my rights, well within the rights of the President of the Republic, who gave us his full blessings, full endorsement of the response, which was proportional and which was very justified. Look, you cannot grant visas to Ghanaians to visit your country. When they arrive, you subject them to such humiliation, detain them for 5 hours, deport 3 of them. You granted them the visas. You said they were welcome to your country. Those you detained, you convened that cybersecurity conference and said that they should attend. Then you detained them for 5 hours. When I call to verify what is going on, you tell me about a matter not related to what these people have done. That matter of you saying that there are some 6 people you want to deport and our embassy is not cooperating, which in any case turned out not to be factual, because we've gone into that list. One is not a Ghanaian. One cannot travel because of medical grounds. The medical records are clear. The other one, the travel certificate had been prepared and the authorities didn't do what they have to do with it. Others, the other 2 were going through legal processes challenging the attempt to deport them. And under international law, they have to exhaust those legal processes. So they didn't even have the facts. And what have these people not related? They are not the ones you want to deport. They have done nothing wrong. They have not violated the terms of their visa. They are not illegal immigrants. Why do you subject them to that treatment? And then I know that I see on my API that Israelis are also arriving, and you want that I should meet them, give them a bouquet of flowers, hug them, welcome them, because we are not human beings?
Well, Mr. Foreign Minister, the concern is that when you do that, you soil relations with a country that, of course, is one of repute, and then also has big allies among some of the top nations across the world. And so you put that in a very jeopardized situation.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. If you see they immediately called for de-escalation. Immediately.
They did?
Immediately. Immediately. And they have reached out. You see, in international relations, respect is earned. By what we did, we've earned respect. And we maintain cordial relations with Israel. We have always said that we're one of the few countries that many, many years ago granted diplomatic accreditation to both Israel and to Palestine. And they have been in our country, working side by side. We're a non-aligned country. We value our relations with all of them. We have very deep, impactful, substantive partnership, particularly with Israel. So, look, even friends, even a couple, married couple, can have altercations, can have differences. You can quarrel. You know, it doesn't mean that you don't love each other, you don't respect each other. So, in this instance, clearly an unfortunate act, and whoever did that I'm sure that within the Israeli government, they will have a thing or two to say to that person, because it was totally needless and unwarranted. And that is why I can confirm to you that since we did what we did, you an independent journalist, just talk to Ghanaians who are traveling to Israel, how they are being received, how they are being respected. And the same way, we are also making sure that Israelis coming to Ghana have their full respect, their full protection. So in international relations, under the Vienna Convention, reciprocity is allowed. Reciprocal tools can be used to assert your sovereignty, to defend your people, to stand up for the rights, for the dignity of your people. And that's what we did. And all of us, and look, just talk to other countries. The number of commendations that Ghana has received. Everybody is saying that, yes, you have done the right thing, you are standing up for your people, you are protecting the dignity, particularly of the black race. That is what we expect from leaders on the African continent. So I'm really surprised that the elements in the minority will raise questions about this very bold, patriotic conduct, which is in the interest of our country and protects all Ghanaians.
All right. This morning we opened up our phone lines and asked our viewers to ask you questions, and some of them came up on oral. They said that you've been very quiet on it. Of course, I know that you're now the foreign minister, not the attorney general. And then subsequently, the presidential jet. There's a particular interaction or interview I had with you. It came up.
Yes.
2021.
Yes.
Again.
Yes.
You and I.
Yes.
So, and again, we're seated here today.
Yes.
So first on oral, what's the talk in cabinet when it comes to your position that you espoused, that you led before you gave the document, so to speak, based on what you collected to the Attorney General, and subsequently the subject matter of the presidential jet, the decision to now buy one?
I have always said that one of the very proud assignments I have carried out is to be chair of oral, and I'm eternally grateful to President Mahama for that honor. The work I did as ranking member and later chair of the Government Assurances Committee in carrying out oversight, the billions of dollars I saw being wasted, being diverted, being looted. This country should not be where it is. We should not have gone into a debt exchange program. We should not have subjected pensioners, people's life savings, to a so-called debt restructuring program, because you had people, the previous government, elements in that government, who just looted with impunity. And so it is very humbling to have participated in that exercise with the team that was put together. A report has been compiled. We've given the report to the Attorney General. And I can assure you that President John Dramani Mahama, virtually at every cabinet meeting, requests for a briefing on oral. And the Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayine, has been working very, very hard. I mean, sleepless nights, finalizing dockets, and prosecuting those.
Well, the word on the street is that it's a bit slow, very lethargic, they say.
The Attorney General is a meticulous man. Anytime you listen to him carefully, he does not want to go to court and give you a wiggle room to escape on some technicality or some sloppy investigation. So he wants to make sure that he puts his evidence together, and he makes sure that it will be very, very difficult for you to escape. And so far, if you follow the prosecutions, the Attorney General is giving a very good account of himself. So I am confident that there will be retrievals already. If you follow the Attorney General's series of media engagements, you can see that we are retrieving as a country. A lot of confiscations have gone on, real estates, the numerous houses, hundreds of houses that have been confiscated. If those houses are auctioned, we would retrieve some good money for the taxpayer. Many accounts have been frozen, loaded with our resources. And I am glad that a lot of that work is going on, particularly with the support of IOCO, the BNI, and other investigative bodies. Shraj, OSP are also supporting. So I remain confident. I am an eternal optimist. I'm confident that Oral will succeed. Oral is on track. Yes, people want swift justice, but the wheels of justice grind slowly. And what matters is that there's that commitment. I can assure you that we are unwavering. Okay. Our commitment has not faltered. And all of us in cabinet keep discussing Oral. We're receiving reports regularly. And the president is insisting that we must make sure that ultimately a clear example is set, particularly for those of us in office today, that you will not be allowed to loot and you will not get away with it if you loot. And so I like the two-way approach, that is not only accountability for those who once held office, but it is also the president is clearly sending a message, and he keeps telling us, I won't save you, I will not protect you, I will not be a clearing agent.
Presidential jet.
So see what is going on, see what others are being put through, and learn from that, and conduct yourselves, with accountability, transparency, and making sure that there is integrity that is defining your every move. So Oral is on track. Oral will succeed because we have no choice. I mean, we have absolutely no choice. If Oral fails, we are finished. We are finished. And you see, it will even threaten the survival of our democracy. If Oral fails, this democracy is in peril.
Okay. Presidential jet.
On presidential jet, I remain vindicated. All the things I said yesterday, I will say today and will say tomorrow.
You said the jet was in good condition. That jet?
Yes, it was. How on earth do you have a presidential jet which I maintain at the time was in pristine condition?
I remember the word.
Yes. And then you will go on a very reckless, totally insensitive luxury jet chartering spree. 20,000 euros an hour, 20,000 pounds an hour. Hundreds of millions of Ghana cedis wasted. And I always made the point that, look, if there is something wrong with the jet, tell us. Because why should we spend, at the time, over $37 million to buy this jet? President Kufuor ordered it. Arrived in 2010, Professor Mills used it. Didn't complain. President Mahama used it in his first reincarnation. Didn't complain. So why would you, President Akufo-Addo, suddenly refuse to use it? And you see, people even fail to accept the fact that when this renting went on from 2017 all the way to 2022, and the pressure mounted, and my campaign received public support and total, endorsement by the vast majority of Ghanaians, and the pressure became unbearable, President Akufo-Addo stopped chartering the jets. Check. For his last 2 years, particularly when we went into the IMF program, there are some people who say that, oh, don't even give him credit because we became broke and he couldn't find 20,000 euros an hour to charter. We had gone into an IMF program. he needed a bailout. We were doing debt restructuring. Check the records. All the places they said the jet couldn't go, they used the jet there to Europe.
The pristine
to the
jet.
Americas, the pristine jet.
So why are we buying a new one then,
so,
if it's in pristine condition?
So it was. Jets, you are talking about a campaign that was going on from 2017. Check the parliamentary Hansard. Check the records. It was clearly stated in those records that from 15 to 20 years, that is the lifespan of the period of using the jet in terms of its lifespan for use. And that after 20 years, you need to be thinking about a replacement. So what President Mahama has done now is the responsible thing to do. He hasn't chartered 20,000 pounds an hour, 20,000 euros, $20,000 an hour jets, luxury jets. He hasn't done that. He is saying that clearly, with this jet now coming to the end of its lifespan, check the parliamentary Hansard of 2008, as stated clearly by the Honorable Kandapa. Now, don't forget that even this business of the jet in pristine condition, remember, I filed a question in Parliament, invited the defense minister. I gave them the benefit of the doubt. Come to Parliament and tell us the state of the jet. Remember, the defense minister at the time, the Honorable Dominic Nitiwo, came to Parliament and told us that the jet was in great condition. There's nothing wrong with the jet. Check your records. Your producers can produce the response to my question. Because I gave them the benefit of the doubt. Probably they know something I don't know.
Why are we buying a new jet?
I'm not in government. He then said, you remember, he infamously said that, look, it's a matter of comfort that the president can shower in our presidential jet. You remember, which became a huge matter of controversy in this country. That, so it's all about